Hi, everybody. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties this evening, but we have everybody now, and we are live streaming here, and we're good to go here. So with that, I'll pass it over to the chair.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Just to update people that are attending via YouTube right now, the Heliport Monitoring Committee is comprised of basically 5 members, 3 public members, which are Doug Fraser, Sandy Namath, and myself, Nick Servos. We are voting members. Alpine Helicopters has Todd Cooper. He's a voting member. And council has appointed Councillor Jeff Hillstad. He's also a voting member. Also a part of our committee, although not a voting member, is the general manager of infrastructure, and handling that position right now, or not that position, but handling delegated to him is Stephen Hannes, who will be participating. The other that you might see on your screen under the term MCO on the video is Georgina, and she'll be recording the minutes. So anyways, with that start, we'll go to the agenda. And the agenda was produced initially last week and finalized. And I would like to say, let me just pull up my cheat sheet here. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And are there any changes to the published agenda? I see none. I move that the committee accept the agenda as published. Those in favor? Okay. Those opposed? I see none. Motion's carried. Next on the agenda, and I was a little bit surprised at this, and I didn't pick it up in the first reading, but appointment of the committee chair. Unless there's something that has happened that I'm not aware of, I really don't think we need this agenda item, do we?
This I don't recall seeing on the draft either, actually, so I don't believe this is necessary.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but the final one that came out did say that. So I thought, well, I've got an easy way of getting out of a job, but I guess I don't. So anyways, we'll pass on that one. The minutes. The minutes of November 2nd, our last meeting, 2020, were distributed to all just after the meeting, and they were approved via email on November the 17th. Whether we need a formal motion to adopt them or not, I would ask Stephen or Georgina whether we really need that or not.
I think we should formalize the approval.
Okay, then I would move we accept the minutes as published for the November 2nd, 2020 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously.
Sorry, Nick, we can't see Todd, so I'm not sure if he voted or not.
Oh,
sorry guys, my camera is terrible. You can't see me on here. So yes, I am for that.
okay, good. Thanks, Todd. All right.
And also in terms of we approved the agenda as well. So Todd, did you approve that as well?
I did. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good. Thanks, Stephen. Review of the Heliport complaints since the last meeting. There have been no complaints indicating violation of the agreement, and the minutes will so reflect. I don't know whether we need a motion to formally accept that, but it's just, we have a motion saying there's nothing to do, but I leave it to Stephen to tell me what the town would really prefer there.
That's right. So I can confirm that there have been no formal breaches in the lease that I've heard or I've been working on with Alpine. They've been working within the terms of their lease as far as I'm aware. We've had some questions and concerns from the public over the past in 2020. Some comments were reflective of they recognize the less operations on site, and so reduced noise. So there are some thankful calls and emails from the public that way. In terms of the complaints, none that was led to a specific breach of the lease.
Okay, so then we've not had any complaints indicating a violation of the agreement. So I would suggest that we have a motion to accept that position and have it so reflected in the minutes. Okay, and all in favor?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, opposed? And Todd, say yes or no.
I'm in favor, yes.
Okay, good, thank you. All right. Next is review of the 2020 operations report from Alpine Helicopters. And I would like to pass it over to Todd right now if he wants to. We've all had the report for a few weeks, and it's up on the screen now, that if there's anything Todd would like to discuss or highlight, I would turn it over to him to have that discussion or lead the discussion.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I think the the report says it all for those of us that had a chance to look at it. A very challenging year for us in 2020 with COVID-19 and all the fun times that came with that. So we did shut down our sightseeing operation for about 3 months in 2020. We've also, as of Friday, shut down our tourism operation again, just for safety of our staff and the community. We just don't feel that now is a great time in the Bow Valley to still be operating. So we've once again closed down the tourism operation. Aviation and tourism in general in Canada had an extremely tough year. I think that's pretty much across the board for everybody. So lots of challenges. Proud to say that we're still here and still operating and supplying the rescue service and the avalanche control and everything else that falls under the essential service. So yeah, challenging. 2021's not off to a great start either, but hopefully we are nearing some better times. Thanks.
Okay, a question for you, Todd, that in your annual report, under emergency reporting, there was nothing to report. And can you expand on that a little bit? Because I know you ran a number of emergency flights and did a number of things in that area, but I just think we should note it.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a little misleading, Nick. So the emergency reporting would be any emergencies that we had on the base and or craft. So yeah, that's kind of a maybe misleading and all.
Okay, all right. Because I know it's just above it, a couple of paragraphs is the rescue and emergency flights, and that talked about a lot. And I just wanted to amplify what the emergency reporting meant. So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's a bit misleading. Maybe next year I'll change the.
That's fine. And the audits that are highlighted and the inspections that are highlighted there, those are mainly items that are mandated by Transport Canada.
Well, some are internal, some are mandated by Transport Canada. We did have our Transport Canada process inspection this year. That was in 2020. That was December of 2020.
Yeah.
That inspection goes over maintenance, aviation, as well as the dangerous goods part of the operation. Contrail, that's also another mainly aviation orientated audit. And then we also have the 3 internal audits as well that we do annually.
Okay. Something that really wasn't touched on in the report was that in previous years, you've had a day where you've had the public out for an inspection, a get to know type thing. I assume that would become an annual occurrence once we get by all this COVID stuff. And because I know when I've attended it, it's been very well received by the public and the information that Alpine has passed on to people about what they're doing. And the different safety approaches and the different safety techniques that they're using has been very informative to the public. And I would really encourage that type of thing taking place, hopefully this summer, or if we're still in this COVID stuff by this summer, that it would happen again in the future. Todd, can you comment on that at all?
I can. Thanks for that, Nick. We obviously, with the current global situation, it wasn't great timing for us to host that event again. Definitely, in the future we will make it an annual event. It has been an annual event. We just feel that it's, with safety in mind, it wasn't the time of year to be able to do that. So we'll look at it still for 2021, but I'm not sure if it'll end up being an event or not. But hopefully by 2022 we'll have that event again.
Okay, my last question, just before we throw it over to the rest of the committee to talk about, is that in the other heliport matters, the second item that you mentioned is that you purchased a new set of rear main rotor blades, which will reduce the aircraft noise footprint. And I know with the concern of the community about noise and the noise footprint, have those been installed on all the equipment now? And if not, when is it going to be completed?
All the tourism aircraft have that tail rotor installed on them. So that's all been done. That's been over the last 3 years that are you talking the tail rotor or the main rotor blade? Sorry.
The main rotor blade, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So there's one set, and that is here in Canmore. Unfortunately, with that particular set of rotor blades, the manufacturer does not have any published data to say that it is quieter. They also make the same tail rotors that we have, and which are 30% quieter, I believe. Unfortunately, we don't have any documented history with that set of main rotor blades that they are quieter. But having had them on the base here, I noticed that they are quieter. So that'll be an ongoing process as we can replace and upgrade those main rotor blades. We will be doing that.
Okay. That's all the questions that I had. Perhaps Doug or Sandy or Stephen has another question or more questions to ask. Doug, to you first.
No, for me, the report is fairly straightforward. Of course, COVID interfered a lot with the operations here, and I guess that's understandable.
Okay, Sandy.
Yes, actually, I was just thinking at the beginning when it talks about sightseeing flights in Canmore. So I can certainly appreciate that it's been a difficult year thanks to COVID. So my guess is, like you say, that you continued to operate well within the requirements of the heliport. So I suspect that there were probably no days last year when you came close to the maximum number of flights per day. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and we have to note that the position of Alpine, actually it started last year, but it's in the position this year, is that they are not going to utilize the 12-minute flights that was currently available in Schedule D, but it's been eliminated. So now it's 25 minutes and over flights type thing. So it's going to reduce the frequency, or it should reduce the frequency quite a bit, and which would also help address the noise concerns that the general public have. So, Todd, can you comment on that further?
Sure can. As you mentioned, that's been in the plan for since I took over as the base manager. So we're happy to say that we've made that happen, and the 12-minute tours are no longer available from the Canmore Heliport. And for that exact reason, we hope that it will reduce the number of flights in and out of the valley. So in turn, that will, reduce our noise impact on the community.
Okay.
And clarification on that, it's 20 minutes currently. Your shortest flight currently is 20 minutes.
That's correct.
All right. Is there any more discussion, or Stephen, did you have anything you wanted to add on the annual report?
I had a question about the RICO technology. So you're an early adopter of that technology, and you've had a number of months of use of that technology in the valley, and with the high numbers of incidences that you're having. What are you learning? What are you finding out with that technology? Is it working? Has it resulted in improved operations in terms of the emergency services responses?
That's a great question. Thanks, Stephen. We have had it out on calls. What we're finding is that the buy-in from the community is a little bit difficult. So the tool is great. It's very useful. Unfortunately, if people aren't wearing the reflectors on their clothing or on their backpack themselves, it kind of makes the tool a bit, it's not that helpful for us. So what we'd like to do is try and grow the amount of people that are using that technology and wearing it on their person. So what we've done is we partnered with Reco once again, and we're actually selling reflectors in our shop now, so we can actually make that available to the public. And Reco has been an excellent partner. They're fantastic. They sent us an upgraded model of the detector, and it was here in like 3 days from Sweden. So they've been fantastic, and happy to have them as a partner. So hopefully we can grow the brand, so to speak, and have more people wearing that in the public.
So as of to date, though it hasn't been incorporated in the rescue at all yet?
Yeah, it has been. We've had it and we've used it. But so far, I can't say that we've had that tool actually find anybody that we're looking for so far. So, but we definitely are using it. It's a 2-year partnership, so we'll see what happens at the end of the 2 years. But they've been fantastic partners, and happy to have them on board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions of the committee for Todd with his annual report?
I just have one. So in the report, it says that in July alone, you responded to 72 missions, 10 of those being on July 11th. What tends to be kind of the average? Like 10 seems very high for that day. Is it usually like 1 or 2 a day, or is it just completely just depends on the day?
I can say through experience over the years, a lot of the rescues generally were on weekends. That is no longer the case. It's any day of the week, any time of the day. You can almost set your watch by 3 o'clock. We'll almost have a rescue at 3 o'clock. In the summer months, it's pretty neat that way. You can all set your watch by it. But 10 is, as I understand it, is the most we've ever done in a day. So Chris and myself were both out for the whole day. I wasn't even on call. We had such a volume that I helped out. I did 3 myself, and Chris did 7. So it's changed a lot. In the volume is more so in the summer, and it's really become a 7-day a week a thing. So it has changed a bit over the last few years for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Jeff, you were off my screen. You're at the top of my screen. I missed you on my.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Todd?
I can give a little bit of background on the request or the discussion we've had with Alpine regarding the trees on site as an option to address some noise mitigation potentially, and maybe some aesthetic improvements. So as you recall, in 2013, the site was heavily impacted by the floods, and a lot of overburden. The rocks and boulders that were coming down from Kruger Creek were traveling overland and traveled along and through the site, and taking out a number of the trees and bushes on the property. And so really the site itself is on a pile of debris, rock debris and sediment. And so the idea was to add perhaps some trees on the premises. But the expertise that we engaged indicated that those trees would likely not survive. The only trees that really do well in those kind of areas are the ones that seed in themselves over the course of decades. So if you're to put a planted tree, the thought was that the likelihood of them surviving was very low. And so thus we recommended not to proceed that way.
Okay, and just for the information of the committee and the public, it's my understanding that the area around the alpine structures on the heliport are town-owned and it's town responsibility. Those trees that Stephen was talking about is not an alpine responsibility, it's a town of Canmore responsibility.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Anything else from the group on the Alpine annual report?
Just to Mr. Hannes's point there, is there any other options that we're looking at? Any other type of actual built structures or anything that we could possibly put into those spots to help mitigate noise and whatnot?
Yeah, Todd and I have had discussions about this. There are physical barriers that have been used. Todd has a partnership with Heliport in Austria where they've used some barriers, and Todd can speak to it more in detail here. But one of the concerns there was it creates an opaque barrier. So one of the challenges that they had there was, well, they changed it to a transparent barrier. And so so it makes it less intrusive in the valley. It'd have to be quite high. And then what was happening was birds were hitting it. So it's kind of creating another issue there. I think, this is one of those challenging examples where, millions of dollars could be spent on an engineered solution with either not enough change or no change in the actual noise mitigation. And just with the shape of the valley and that kind of thing, I think you get a lot of echoing and that sort of thing. But Todd can maybe explain that a little bit further.
Todd, did you want to comment?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting there. So the partnership that I have is actually with some folks in Switzerland at Zermatt, and they've put up a wall, a noise absorbing wall around their heliport in Zermatt to help alleviate some of the noise concerns they had as well. They've had two different styles of walls over the year, as I understand it. I may be incorrect, but one style of wall that they changed to actually reflected the noise back off of the hillside beside them. So they were concerned that it actually may have made the problem a little bit worse. So our thinking was that if we could put trees up to help absorb the noise and also to help, obviously environmentally, it's much better than trying to build a wall. So that was the plan, and unfortunately, that's not going to work for us. So I'm still interested in some sort of system that may help reduce some of the noise from the aircraft on the ground here. So still researching it, and we'll just see where it goes from here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the group for Todd on his report?
Todd, are there any other, you've been working on replacing the blades on the machine. So all the tail rotors have now been replaced. You have one set of main blades. Is there anything else that can be done with the existing equipment that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. As I'm sure everybody's aware, the technology is changing so rapidly with everything right now. We're hopeful that there will be something else that we can, adapt or change as we continue on. I'm not aware of anything at this point, and we are very much limited to what's approved by Transport Canada as well as the aircraft manufacturer. So it's not very easy just to go out and find products that would help us in some things. And it's also rather expensive in a lot of cases to implement some of these changes. So hopefully as the technology changes, we can adapt more going forward.
And from my experience in aviation, that any changes to the initial certification of an aircraft take a long time in the process to get approved. And it's a very costly process. I give you an example of even moving the gross takeoff weight up from 750,000 pounds to 800,000 pounds because you've changed a few things in the airplane, can take a year or two for the FAA and Transport Canada to approve. And something that Todd hasn't touched on is that the equipment that they are operating now, although Transport Canada has the overriding operational authority over the equipment in Canada, but the manufacturers for that equipment are not in Canada. In most cases, they're in the US or some other country. So you have to go through 2 or 3 different regulatory bodies to get approval for what may seem like a very minor improvement or change, but it's a long process. It's much like the COVID vaccinations. It takes a long time to get things approved. So, it's just something to consider, that it's not just a cut and dried to go to one person and get them to approve it. It's a long process and a long testing process that this takes place. Okay. Any other questions of Todd? I see none, so I would move that the committee approve the review of the Alpine 2020 operation report as presented, that we accept that report. All in favor? Todd?
I have my hand up saying yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And hold on, Sandy, I don't see you're off my screen now. Okay, good. All right. And so no one's opposed. The motion is carried unanimously. Item F on our agenda, engagement process for the helipad lease renewal. And this is just on for an information. I would ask Stephen to just give a short information as to where we go from here, just to update the whole committee.
Sure. Thank you, Nick. Yes, and thank you once again to this committee for your involvement to date here, fulfilling council's request and direction to engage with stakeholder groups. It was a very interesting process to get to this point, and your help was really helpful in terms of setting the direction forward here with the survey, the type of questions, the type of stakeholder groups to engage with, and those kinds of things. And we've received a lot of really interesting and useful feedback from that process. So you helped out tremendously with that. So I appreciate your time and involvement with it. So you've received the What We Heard report, and if you haven't had a chance already, then I encourage you to view the presentation to council at the last committee of the whole. That explains where we're at with the new Schedule C, formerly Schedule D. We eliminated one of the schedules in the lease that was no longer relevant. So now Schedule D is Schedule C. So moving forward here, we have a town hall planned on May the 4th, starting at 6 o'clock. And so all the information is available on the Town of Canmore website for more information there. And the plan currently is to present the finalized lease in its entirety to council for approval on June 1st.
Okay, a question for you, Stephen, that I would assume that that during the town hall meeting that we as a Heliport monitoring committee are just there as observers, who is going to be running the meeting?
That will be chaired by the town of Canmore.
Okay.
And actually, if you would like to participate in that as a citizen, you are welcome to do so.
Okay. You might not like that, but no, I appreciate the offer. But no, I just wanted to ensure that we as a committee were all aware that our involvement in there is to more listen to what the public is saying, that we will not, as a committee or as individuals representing the committee, get involved in the discussions. It's more the public has their opportunity to talk to the town about their concerns and express their concerns, both good, bad, and indifferent. So, but it's just so that we're all on the same wavelength going into that meeting.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think unless you had anything more to talk about with the next step, Stephen, was there anything else?
Yeah, so even if council approves the lease on June 1st, the current lease would continue to its fruition upon expiry. So it'll go to the near the end of the year. I believe December 1st would be the start of the new lease.
Okay. Good. All right. Does anyone have any other business that we have to go through on this meeting? I see none. I think I've got everybody on my screen. Yes. So I would move that we adjourn our meeting today. Those in favor?
Hands up.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Todd. Okay. And no one's opposed. So it's carried. So we'll adjourn the meeting at what time is it here? 6:42.
42.
Okay, great. Thank you, folks. And thank you for the citizens that tuned in.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good night.